Alright, so in this video we are going to be taking a look at how to sort of learn by watching videos. I know a lot of people watch videos, but not a lot of people take the time to learn from them. It's a little bit different. It has to be an active process. You have to be involved. You have to be like actually doing stuff, writing stuff down, pausing, rewinding, doing all that sort of stuff. So I'll just walk through this video and show you what I sort of expect myself to do if I'm trying to learn from a video and what I would hope for you to do while you're learning the video. So, with that said, let's go ahead and start watching. Solving right triangles. It would help if it was not muted.
We're asked to solve the right triangle shown below. Give the lengths to the nearest tenth. So when they say solve,
Alright, so first thing, if I'm watching something, I'm going to copy everything that I see down. So, solve. Any pictures? I'm drawing those. So I want to be able to use this later for things that I have. Sorry about that, sneezed a little bit. So again, like I said, sorry about that. We have to draw the pictures so that way we can use this later. So this is X, Y, and W. And then we have 65 degrees. This is 5 units long. This is side A. This is side B. Okay, cool. Once I have everything written down, then alright, cool. Now once we have everything written down, I'm going to go ahead and resume the video. Everything's all drawn, everything all
we can
fits.
assume that they say, hey, figure out the lengths of all the sides. So whatever A is equal to, whatever B is equal to. And also, what are all the angles of the right triangle? They've given two of them. We might.
So, this word solve, he just gave us a definition for us. So this is find everything we don't know. Okay. So solve means find everything. If we're trying to solve that triangle, find everything we don't know about it.
We have to figure out this third here. So there's multiple ways to tackle this, but we'll just go in, we'll just try to tackle side XW first, try to figure out what A is, and I'll give you a hint. You can use a calculator, and using a calculator, you can use your trigonometric functions that we've looked at a good bit now. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about how to figure out what A is.
So we want to try and figure out, okay, how can we figure out what A is? So we've talked about solving for sides of triangles before. So how would I do that using this and trigonometry in my calculator?
Well, what do we know? We know this angle y right over here. We know the side adjacent to angle y. And length A, this is the side, that's the length of the side that is opposite. That is opposite to angle y. So what trigonometric ratio deals with the opposite and the adjacent? So
What trigonometric ratio deals with the opposite and the adjacent sides? I think that's tangent, right?
if we're looking at angle y, relative to angle y, this is the opposite, and this right over here is the adjacent. Well, if we don't remember, we can go back to SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. Sine deals with opposite and hypotenuse. Cosine deals with adjacent and hypotenuse. Tangent deals with opposite over adjacent. Opposite over adjacent. So we can say that the tangent of 65 degrees of that angle of 65 degrees is equal to the opposite, the length of the opposite side, which we know has length A, over the length of the adjacent side, which they gave us in the diagram, which has length 5. And you might say, well, how do I figure out A? Well, we can use our calculator to evaluate what the tangent of 65 degrees are, and then we can solve for a. And actually, if we just want to get the expression explicitly solving for a, we can just multiply both sides of this equation times 5. So let's do that. 5 times 5. These cancel out, and we are left with, if we flip the equal around, we're left with a is equal to 5 times the tangent of 65 degrees. So now we can get our calculator out and figure out what this is to the nearest tenth. Get my handy TI-85 out, and I have 5 times the tangent. No, I didn't need to press that second right over there, just the regular tangent of 65 degrees. And I get, if I round to the nearest tenth, like they asked me to, I get 10.7. So A is approximately equal to 10.7. I say approximately because I rounded it down. This is not the exact number, but A is equal to 10.7. So we now know that this has length 10.7 approximately. There's several ways that we can try to tackle B, and I'll let you pick the way you want to, but then I'll just do it the way I would like to. So my next question to you is, what is the length of the side YW, or what is the value of B?
So, ways that we would tackle this, we could still do the trigonometry stuff. We could still do the trigonometry stuff just like we could do it, just like we did to find side A. Or we could also do the Pythagorean theorem. So that a squared plus b squared equals c squared idea. But in this case, we got to be careful because this b is our hypotenuse. So that would, in that equation, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. B would be side C.
Well, there's several ways to do it. This is the hypotenuse, so we could use trigonometric functions that deal with adjacent over hypotenuse or opposite over hypotenuse. Or we could just use the Pythagorean theorem. We know two sides of a right triangle. We can come up with the third side. I will go with using trigonometric ratios, since that's what we've been working on a good bit. So this length B, that's the length of the hypotenuse. So this side WY is the hypotenuse. And so what trigonometric ratios, and we can decide what we want to use. We could use opposite in hypotenuse, we could use adjacent in hypotenuse. Since we know that XY is exactly 5, and we don't have to deal with this approximation, let's use that side. So what trigonometric ratios deal with adjacent and hypotenuse? Well, we see from SOHCAHTOA, cosine deals with adjacent over hypotenuse. So we could say that the cosine of 65 degrees is equal to the length of the adjacent side, which is 5, over the length of the hypotenuse, which has length b. And then we can try to solve for b. You multiply both sides times b, you're left with b times cosine of 65 degrees is equal to 5. And then to solve for b, you could divide both sides by cosine of 65 degrees. This is just a number here, so we're just dividing. We have to figure it out with our calculator, but this is just going to evaluate to some number. So we can divide both sides by that, by cosine of 65 degrees, cosine of 65 degrees, and we're left with b is equal to 5 over the cosine of 65 degrees. So let us now use our calculator to figure out the length of b. Length of b is 5 divided by cosine of 65 degrees. And I get, if I round to the nearest tenth, 11.8. So b is approximately equal to, rounded to the nearest tenth, 11.8. So b is equal to 11.8. And then 8. If I round
So,
the length of b is
while I was sneezing over there,
divided by cosine
I missed some stuff that he did, so I just rewound it to figure out what that was.
I get, if I round to the nearest tenth, 11.8. So b is approximately equal to, rounded to the nearest tenth, 11.8. So b is equal to 11.8. And then we're almost done solving this right triangle. And you could have figured this out using the Pythagorean theorem as well, saying that 5 squared plus 10.7 squared should be equal to b squared, and hopefully you would get the exact same answer. And the last thing we have to figure out is the measure of angle W. Angle W right over here. So I'll give you a few seconds to think about what the measure of angle W is.
So, measure of angle W, if we take all the angles in a triangle, they should all add up to 180. So I wonder if he's going to subtract 90 from 180, subtract 65 from whatever that is, and then whatever's left is going to be our angle W. Let's see.
Well, here we just have to remember that the sum of the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So angle W plus 65 degrees, that's this angle right up here, plus the right angle, this is a right triangle, they're going to add up to 180 degrees. So all we need to do is, well, we could simplify the left-hand side right over here. 65 plus 90 is 155. So angle W plus 155 degrees is equal to 180 degrees. And then we get angle W, if we subtract 155 from both sides, angle W is equal to 25 degrees. And we are done solving the right triangle shown below.
Cool. So, we found all the missing parts of this particular right triangle, and that gave us all the everything that we didn't know about this right triangle. We now know, and so there's a bunch of different ways that we can talk about this. But this is one video. Write everything down. Make sure you're paying attention to everything that the person's doing. If you miss something, make sure you rewind and watch that part. But write it down. Make sure you have a nice, calm area. Hopefully you don't have several sneezing fits like I did during this thing. But if you did, make sure that you're following along, you're paying attention, and you see all the things that the person in the video is doing for you. Okay, you're jotting everything down so you have examples when you go to work on stuff that I'll give you. Um, just make sure that you have all this stuff available for you, so that way you don't end up just having these videos playing in the background while you're doing something else. It won't work out that way. It won't work out well for you that way. Okay. So with that, we're all done for today. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll actually see you during our video session thing. We're gonna do some more testing and make sure that we know how to do things. So, all right. So I will talk to you later. Bye, guys.